Thought I'd take a moment out. Just was thinking about this thought of organized confusion. Makes me think about the old hip hop group. But even when you just think about that, just that topic, that thought of organized confusion, and that's pretty much synonymous to flooding the zone. You know, calculated witchcraft when you really think about it. But organized confusion. Do you guys feel like there's a lot going on right now? So many different things are happening, popping up. Situation over here, situation over there, situation over there, situation over there. It's like it's so many different things that are happening that you're getting to a point that you can't even catch up, keep up with it. Are you guys feeling that way? That it's like, man, what is the next thing? The Epstein and Nigeria, Somalia, Iran, Venezuela, uh, ICE, the situation with ICE. Do you guys feel like it's a lot going on? So much is going on. Organized confusion, right? Organized confusion make me think about my daughter. I remember uh, in her mind, right? She saw a junky desk, right? I'm going to be honest with you. I'm terrible with my desk, right? My desk at home could be a little, I got books stacked up. I got papers all over because I'm constantly researching and studying and so my daughter decided that she was going to take my thumb drive, right? I never forget. And in her mind, I wouldn't notice it. And so I looked, I said, hey, where's my thumb drive? She's like, what thumb drive? I said, my thumb drive was sitting right here. She's like, Dad, you can't, with all that stuff on there, maybe it's under some of your papers over there. I was like, no, 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 it was right here. And then just so happened, I saw her computer with my thumb drive, right? And she tried to tell me that it wasn't mine. She's like, no, it's none, you don't have any data on here. And I'm like, okay. I was like, all right. She was like, no, I put it in the computer. She's like, see, none of your files are on here. This is mine. I said, let me show you a little trick. I didn't show her the trick, but it's a little trick that I did because I used to be a hacker. I'm a former hacker family. I'm a former hacker. And what you didn't know that most of you guys don't know, when someone deletes something, when you delete something off your hard drive, it's still on your hard drive. It's just that it's placed in another area of your hard drive. When you hit that clear recycle bin, the data is still there. They put special characters there so that way it's no longer accessible to you, but it's still there. But nevertheless, I'm saying all that to say is that she was surprised that I noticed that my desk, some things were moved around on my desk and that my drive was missing. My thumb drive was missing. And I had to say to her, I said, even though this desk may look, I would say unorganized, but there is still an organization, a system to what seemed to be unorganized. Everything is in its intended place, intended spot. And what I'm saying all of this to say that there's so much going on, so much going on, and it's done with a purpose: organized confusion, flooding the zone. That's right. There's a method to the madness. You guys heard that term before. Method to the madness. I believe it's Isaiah 55 when it talks about the enemy coming in like a flood. Even though the Most High is going to raise up the standard, we get the victory. But that's to what? Keep us off guard. Keep us unbalanced. Keep us in a state of reaction versus being proactive. Right? That's social media. Social media is based on, a lot of it is based on, or the majority of it is reactionary. That's why they have what is called reactionary videos, right? Someone sees something and they what? Respond to it. But flooding the zone. Flooding the zone. When this administration came into play, what was the first thing that he did? He's at an all-time high for any administration of flooding the zone by way of executive orders. So the initial, and this is dealing with hacking, right? His initial game plan was to come in with so many different executive orders that is very extreme, that is just too many to address. It's too much to keep up with. They understand that even the federal courts can't even keep up with it. Flooding the zone. Do you guys feel that way? It's like, man, the zone, I mean, it's so much going on. Going on. Now let's touch on a few things. Let's start with the Jamal Bryant. I'm sure you guys already know about the Jamal Bryant situation. His wife, who's a first lady, and he is a pastor down in Georgia. I think it's Newburgh, whatever, took over for Eddie Long's ministry that he helped, I guess, start. But nevertheless, Jamal Bryant's wife wore a nude dress. Now, the dress that in itself that she wore, she was not technically nude underneath. She had a garment under it, but the key to the dress is to give the illusion that the person that's wearing that outfit is naked. So this is why the cloth or clothing, the material that's underneath the dress, it blends in with the skin, right? So therefore, it gives the illusion, because it's the same color as the person's skin complexion. So it gives the illusion that the person is naked. And then it purposely put what you want to call it, sunburst, right over the private area to give the appearance that her or whoever wears the dress, goods are showing. Now, some women wear that dress, that type of design, with nothing under it. But the point that I'm making is, and I know it's going to be, trolls. So moderators, you guys know what to do. Many in the church are saying, get over it. Get over it. They're pushing this thing of getting over it. They said, hey, it's a little thing. It's not a big deal. I'm seeing pastors saying it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. It's a small thing. Well, the scripture tells us that it's the little foxes that destroy the vine. The little foxes. Now, it'll be different, if this is secular, but you have a pastor, and I'm going to talk about this guy. This guy has a history of going to the extremes. The same pastor who suggested, literally from the pulpit, that the church needs to invest in fields to grow their own marijuana, to show the young men how to cultivate and how to become more familiar with agriculture. Do you guys remember that? The same guy, pastor, who was even spotted inside a hookah shop, getting this puff, pass on. The same guy. The same guy, right, who was kicked out of Baltimore. I think some of you guys may need to go back and do a little research on it. When he called himself walking around the community, and one of the local people in that area from the projects, guy came up to him, told him to get out the neighborhood. And guess what? He didn't give him no talk and left. That's how bad this guy was in Baltimore. You guys that's from Baltimore, y'all know what I'm talking about. This guy was so bad. I mean, he was messing around on his wife continuously. had children out of wedlock, at least one, I believe it's two kids from someone within the ministry. It's a lot. It's so much, right? So much, right? So much going on, right? This the same guy. The same guy who said that Christ was incorrect. He was wrong 80% of the time. Remember, guys, I put the video up. It's so many different things you could say about this so-called pastor. But it's interesting how you see many say, oh, it's a small thing. Get over it. Let's stop talking about it. No, need to talk about it. It's time to start holding these so-called pastors accountable. You got pastors that are literally embarrassing their members during offering in front of everyone. Remember the pastor that I can't remember his name, that literally embarrassed a woman who gave $1,000. He said, "This is not what I asked for. This is not what I asked for. I asked for $2,000." Embarrassed her in front of her. I think that was her son that was with her. Embarrassed her. The other pastor saying, "Lock the doors." Another pastor, not just one pastor, but multiple pastors having a Bentley on stage. One pastor had a Bentley on stage and told the people that he needed them to pay for that. Another pastor had a robot on stage saying this robot is going to, when in his absence, is going to speak for him and give the word in his absence. And that he needs the people to pitch in and purchase this robot. Come on, family. See, that's why so many people have left the church. That's why so many people have left Christianity. So many people are leaving these brick and mortar spaces because it's so much craziness going on. Yet these are the same ones, when they looked at the women that's in this awakening, who's dressing modest, with their robes, and now getting back to the hair wraps and wearing the dashikis and going natural and all these different things. Remember, those are the same spaces that I was laughing at and mocking the awakening because of the women choosing to go natural now. You can't make this up, family. So for me, for those that say get over it, no, keep talking about it. Hold these guys accountable, like the old song, that my grandmother was saying. Don't let the devil ride with you. If you let him ride, he's going to want to drive. Don't let the devil ride with you. In other words, if you keep giving room for these type of behaviors, they're going to always push the button to the next level to see how much they can get over with. How much they're going to always test the boundaries. Come on, family. Come on, family. This guy is nothing more than a hustler. He's not a true pastor of the scriptures. Just because he can articulate himself very well and giving you a feel-good message. According to the scripture, Hasatan was very gifted in what? The word. Worship. Come on, family. That's right. Little leaven spoils the what? Whole lump. All it takes is just a little bit of leaven, and it could cause that whole bread to be contaminated. It could cause that whole bread to rise up. Come on, family. So it's not about just this dress situation, because guess what? The same behavior has already been cultivated inside the church. You got women wearing outfits that's more riskier than those that are not even in the church. Come on, family. Can we be real about it? Not just the women. You got men, wearing clothes that they shouldn't wear. Open chest, skinny jeans. Anyway, flooding the zone, right? Organized confusion. Let me say that again. Flooding the zone. Organized confusion. I am thankful for the Most High for all our brothers and sisters that have gotten out of that system, that institution of religion, and understand that, you know what? I don't need to have the church to have a relationship with Christ. I don't need to be part of Christianity or Catholicism or Judaism or Islam. None of those systems of men to have a relationship with the Father through his Son. I don't need none of that. Getting back to the basics of when, think about it when it was in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, especially even before desegregation, how we built our own products. We created our own products, and it circulated inside our community much longer for us, the monies and all. So if this takes for us to get back to, help others to get back to see the errors, so be it. You have pastors even saying, get over it. Yeah, I had to say something to a few pastors, like, no. The scripture makes it clear in Hebrews that we are surrounded by a cloud of witnesses, that we have to be held accountable for everything. Woe unto who? Anyone that causes his little ones to go astray. Isn't that the word of the Messiah? So if his actions, because of him, tells you where his mind is, because he tried to own up and say, hey, I bought it for her, whatever the case may be, his actions cause someone else to stumble because of that craziness that he's done, not just this situation, but continuously have done crazy things, pushing a button. Then he got blood on his hand. Again, the little things, right? It's the little foxes that destroys the vine. So you brush this aside, it's going to be something else. He's going to always try to push the buttons to get attention to himself, to draw attention to himself. Anyway, flooding the zone, right? That's flooding the zone. Organized what? Confusion. And he's part of that organized confusion. He's part of that organized confusion. Let's transition from that. Think about the situation that's going with ICE. Have you guys heard about what took place with ICE a couple of days ago about a woman being murdered in Minnesota? Was it Minnesota or Wisconsin? I saw the video, and have you guys seen that? If you're familiar with the situation, type 1 or just just type 1 if you're familiar with that situation. Was it yesterday that it happened, or did it happen the day before yesterday? All right. Let me give clarity, because I see someone posted that she tried to run the ICE agent over. No, she didn't. I saw the whole video. She didn't try to run the ICE agent over. The ICE agent was not standing in front of the car. She tried to pull off because they had a roadblock. And someone before her, I saw different angles of it. Someone before her made a U-turn. She didn't try to run over the ICE agent. I want to make sure you guys understand that. Anyone that says that she tried to run over the ICE agent, you didn't watch the video. The ICE agent was not in front of the car. The ICE agent was on the side of the car. So family, make sure you don't allow anyone to try to persuade you your thoughts of what you saw. Let me say that again. She did not try to run down an ICE agent. The ICE agent was on the side of her car. But I'm going to say this to you guys, and I'm not insensitive to what took place. Now we have what? Protests that are occurring right now, right? Remember, with the George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and the endless individuals that lives were taken by law enforcement, and you start hearing the rise of the Black Lives Matter, and then all of a sudden you start seeing as a counter to that, white lives matter, right? Because it was always this constant rebuttal to the things that are going on in our community, and so others would try to what hijack by saying what counter arguments, like back in the 70s, 60s, and 70s, when they said, hey, black power. Well, guess what? You start having whites say white power. Think about it. Think about it. Now we're seeing, right? Because we're not showing up now. We're like, look, you guys tried to come at our community about us protesting, about us calling out what's been going on within our community for centuries, still happening. Our own brothers and sisters being murdered by law enforcement. Now we see what? A situation here, because again, every narrative that we have gets hijacked. Now you have, guess what? A Caucasian woman who gets gunned down by law enforcement, by ICE. Interesting, right? Interesting. Flooding the zone, right? Remember, when we start thinking about this beast, when you start understanding that fourth beast, when you start understanding that those elites, they're racist, but they're also opportunists. They don't have a problem with destroying their own that they deem to be beneath them. They don't have a problem with collateral damage. In other words, those that they feel even within their groups to be on the lower level, they don't have a problem with hurting and hindering them. See, when you start understanding even this country, guess what? When you start understanding voting, do you know that even white people couldn't vote? Many Caucasians couldn't vote because being a voter early on, you had to own property. So that eliminated so many white people from being able to vote because they didn't own property. Look it up, family. I'm not making this up. I'm not making this up. See, when you start getting into that elite class, yeah, they're racist. Many of them are racist. But the color that they love the most is green. Green, right? They're willing to, again, they're willing to use their own people as collateral damage. That's a fact. But how ironic that now we see the very things that have been going on in our community, the things that we've been protesting, that we've been told, get over it. Now you see that this beast that is showing its face don't care about the differences when it starts getting into the lower class, according to them. They don't care about, not just about race, but they don't even care about the differences. It's like a virus. How they're spreading like a virus. Organized confusion. This is why our community decided to say, you know what? As a whole, we sitting this one out. We worn out, right? Think about Daniel chapter 7. Right? Think about it. Daniel chapter 7. Think about it. I believe around about verse 23 to verse 24, where it says that this beast, this fourth beast, is going to what? Think about what? It's going to wear out the people of the Most High by changing what? Times and laws. In other words, when you understand where being worn out according to the scriptures, means to make you so that way you're good for nothing. Are we seeing it right now? So many of us are burnt out because we're in what seemed to be a never ending cycle of situations, one thing after another, after another, after another. And that's done with intentions. That is calculated to make it so that way we are what? Good for nothing. You start throwing up your hands and said, I can't do this anymore. Have you guys felt like that even with your finances? You pressing it just to make the bare necessities work. Just to pay your light bill, just to pay your water bill, just to pay, all your utilities, just to get the bare basics of having just the basic food on your table, whether it's eggs and, grits and, rice and chicken, just the basic things. And you go inside the supermarket and you see that just for a half a gallon of milk or half a gallon of orange juice going to cost you $10. Come on, organized confusion. Organized confusion to wear you out, to say, you know what? I can't do this anymore. But we got to tough it out, family. We can't just give up. We got to. The Messiah said in Matthew's chapter 24, when he was dealing with his disciples, when he was dealing with the beginning of sorrows, he said, those that endure to the end. We have to endure to the end, family. I know it's hard. I know it's getting very, 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 it can be aggravating with all the things that you see and the things that we know. We have to endure to the end. We can't give up. We can't give in. Waiting on Yahweh doesn't simply mean just sit around. We still have to function even in the midst of this craziness that's going on. But I'm here to tell you who has the final say. But again, organized confusion. While the situation was going on in Venezuela, right? A coup made an attempt to take out the president of Burkina Faso. A coup tried to rise up. You don't hear about that. Why? Because of everything that's going on. Everything, organized confusion. So a lot of stuff began to get what? Lost in communication because of trying to keep up. Remember, just 2 weeks ago, I was talking about Nigeria and bombed Nigeria. Talking about Somalia and what? Bombing Somalia. Same thing with Sudan, bombing Sudan. Now talking about going into Iran. They're actually already starting to do the bombing of Iran. See all the different things that are going on. That is calculated for a specific group of people. It's all organized confusion. But even then, confusion still have a system. Confusion still have a process of how it moves. Does that make sense, everyone? Does that make sense? That's what it means when you see that term organized confusion. The whole purpose of organized confusion or flooding the zone is to wear out the people. To wear out the people, to make it so that way now you don't have no more fight in you. So they can do whatever they choose to do. You have no more fight. So now they can enter in. Come on, family. That's what's happening. Even for those, right? Think about retirement. Think about retirement. I'm prior military. I'm not retired military, but I am prior military, right? Served in the Air Force for 8 years. Even for those that are retired military right now, getting that retirement check and disabilities or whatever the different things that come with it, the veterans, the VA benefits and all, even that's not even guaranteed. It's getting to a place of not being guaranteed. Organized confusion. I was in the military for 8 years. And while I was in the military for 8 years, I learned something. Right? I learned Deuteronomy 28:68, that I could not seek salvation by way of the government agencies. I went in the military because I went to college and had some issues with college with my scholarships and all that other stuff. And, didn't have the resources to pay for it because my grandmother was raised me. Didn't have the means to pay for my college tuition. Couldn't afford it. So did almost 2 years in college, and then I was like, well, you know what? I'll go in the military instead. Yeah, went in the military. It was like, hey, I didn't want to go back to Newark, New Jersey. It's like, hey, I want to better myself, and thank the Most High that I was able to do that. But when I was in the military, I saw a lot of stuff, witnessed a lot of stuff, and I came to the conclusion that I can't make it 20 years because I was on. Let me share this with you guys. Tying this all in. I did the honor guard. I also did color guard, right? And one of the saddest things that I saw, that most of the people that we did perform services for, they died within 5 years of retirement. They were so institutionalized by the system that they could not function once they got out of it. I'm talking about veterans that was in the military for 30 and 40 years, and that's all they knew. And by me being in the honor guard, I said I couldn't do this. I said no, I can't. I'm transitioning from that, and that's why I got out. Right? More things that contributed to my decision. The other thing was the thought of one person that can make or break your career. So it's like a dog eat dog. I was like, no, y'all can have this. But I'm saying all of this to say, for those that are, for the veterans here, that's not even guaranteed. Because you have a senator by the name of, I think his name is Senator Kelly. Either he's in the Senate or the House, I can't remember. He's an astronaut, former astronaut. He was a captain in the Navy. The captain in the Navy, '06, is equivalent to a colonel. Right? He was a captain in the Navy. He said something targeting the military that they don't have to obey laws that are illegal laws. They don't have to obey illegal or bad instructions that's going to cause them to break the law. And that's all prior military. Y'all know that's your option. You don't have to carry out laws that's going to break, right? Orders that's breaking the law. That's all he said. And guess what's happening to him now? Now, this administration is trying to what? Knock down the grade that he retired as, so that way now that jeopardizes his money. He retired as a '06, a captain in the Navy. Now they want to create a manufactured charge to reduce his rank. So let's just say they reduce him all the way down to a lieutenant, a second lieutenant. Come on, family. Nothing is guaranteed. We cannot live like everything is guaranteed. Now, why am I saying that? This administration, and part of that flooding the zone, right, went in, had everyone rallying behind government, shrink the government. We too much spending. And what happened? He allowed Doge to have access to all this personal data, got rid of all the watchdogs in each individual agency, and then took all of that data and allowed this guy to walk away with it. Now, what's key about that data is your voting record, right? Because now that's the thing that's going before the Supreme Court, is to give this administration access to your voting record. And if you did not vote for this commander in thief, then he can use that as a way of attacking you. Veterans, you can go through the same. Oh, think about what happened with flooding the zone. Oh, shrink the government, too much spending, and yet this administration added over $1 trillion to the deficit, well over $1 trillion. Gave tax breaks to who? The elite, the 1%, by taking away from Social Security, by taking away from cutting 80,000 jobs in the VA, those doctors, the medical staff that are in place to take care of the veterans. Got rid of all of that. Why? Purge. Make your calls longer. Make you give up. Think about it. Come on. Y'all see calculated, organized confusion. By taking money out of Medicare, guess what? A lot of facilities shut down. A lot of medical facilities shut down. That's the purge that's happening. But the organized confusion was to put this face, this skin complexion, at the front and center of its attack. And because so many have so much hatred for this skin complexion, not paying attention to the details, the devil's in the details, not paying attention to the details, rallied for them to do what they're doing. And now it's like, wait a minute, what in the world is going on? Organized confusion. Venezuela, trumped up lies about, hey, fentanyl. And then he comes out and make it clear it was all about the oil. Placing a 1948er over Venezuela. Come on, family. They need money. When I say need money, they need money to fund what they're doing over in Northeast Africa, which is now called the Middle East. They need money. That oil is what? Money. Family, it's all about confusion. Y'all help us, man. But even then, family, don't give up. Don't give in. Don't give up. Don't give in. Again, doesn't it seem like what, you just in this, we're just in this daisy chain after situation, after situation, after situation, daisy chain. Can you imagine this? That we are, when you think about a lot of these CEOs that's over these companies, these billionaires, many of them are connected to the Epstein. So pedophiles, child abusers, and the same ones that's trying to promote or teach or put together policies and procedures within that company of how to conduct yourselves. Code of conduct. Isn't that interesting? Even in all this confusion, we see that the elites make sure they take care of each other. The Epstein file is all about the elites. Perverts are protecting elite perverts. And it doesn't matter if you Democrats, doesn't matter if you Republicans, doesn't matter what affiliation you are religiously among those elites. Doesn't matter. You part of that circle, you part of that circle. Anyway, family, Just be encouraged. I was just, like I said, just thinking about it, taking a break to meditate, um, with everything that is going on, in every space from, within the body of the Most High to outside the body of the Most High, the political arena. There's so much that is going on, and we see the organized confusion that's going on. I see it. I hope you see it. I see it. I hope you guys see it. So what are we going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? Well, we can't give up. Even though we're tired, but we can't give up. We can't give up. We still got to show up to the battlefield like Jehoshaphat, even though prior to showing up to the battlefield, he called to prayer and fast throughout the kingdom because they were getting hit from different fronts. And then the soldiers, they showed up. They went to the battlefield. So even though we're praying and fasting, family, we still got to show up to the battlefield. And that's the part that we miss. We still got to show up. Prayer, like the Messiah said in Matthew 17, this spirit right here can only be dealt with by way of what? Prayer and fasting. But we still have to show up. You still have to show up to the battlefield. And family, don't give up. Don't give up. That means that we're just going to have to what? Work harder. And now we're going to have to get back to the things that we were doing during segregation, when things were segregated. We got to understand that, hey, I may have something that you need, and vice versa. Let's come together and let's put our resources together so that way we can offset the burden. Remember the old school? Remember the old school family? Remember the old school? So I'm thankful that I grew up in the 70s and the 80s because I remember, even I think that was like the tail end of the old school. Certain values. I remember living in the projects. That's right. I lived in the projects. I remember I would go upstairs, based on the instructions of my mom's, and go upstairs, and she said such and such already waiting for you to go get a cup of sugar from upstairs, and go to the this apartment and get 2 eggs from this apartment, and she bring it all. I have to bring all of that down to her, and my grandmother, she'll make a nice cake. She'll bake the cake. And then once she baked the cake, she'll slice it up and say, hey, take these to those apartments. You see where I'm going at, family? See, this generation, most of you guys didn't experience this. That's why it's hard for many to understand what community is. I experienced this. I experienced cookouts. I'm not just cookouts, but I experienced block parties. Did you guys experience that? Opening up that fire hydrant, whereas though you didn't have to worry about citations because the police officers were out there getting wet too, because you didn't have a swimming pool to go to. Remember that, guys? When you would just drink out of a fountain, a water hose, not even trying to determine whether or not if you're going to get lockjaw from the rust. Can you remember those things? Where when it snowed, man, we would walk around with our shovels to help people to shovel their snow, or we'll go over to ShopRite, and ask if we can help people bag their groceries just to get what? Get tips. I don't know. See, that I came up in the 70s and the 80s. That's what we did. It was community. You had respect for the elders. You couldn't, the way that I was taught, because I had the big boom radios, the LL Cool J, my radio relieves me. I like it loud. I had the radios. I had the 2020s. Some of you guys know what I'm talking about. I had the 2020 radio, and then they upgraded to the 4040s, which was even bigger. But I remember I was taught certain principles that when you walk past a funeral home, turn your music down. When you walk past a church, turn your music down. If you're walking past a senior citizen, turn your music down. Oh, come on. Come on, family. I believe that's going to help us get back to the place that we need to be. as a community. Remember that, family? You didn't curse around the senior citizens, right? I was taught that. You don't curse around children and you don't curse around senior citizens. I used to curse like make up my own curse words. But it was brought to my attention by some of my old friends when I remember they said, man, we noticed you don't curse around children and you don't curse around old people. They caught on to it. But that's how I was raised. Family, remember that? Remember how you made the best of things? That cardboard box? That cardboard box that was like that was like a clubhouse. That was like a sled, the slide down the steps in. Come on now. Thank the Most High for salvation, right? Thank the Most High for watching over the babes and the fools, going down concrete steps in a cardboard box. Something you would dance on. Had tough guys that would normally shoot fair ones, now doing dance-offs. Can you remember that, guys? See, these generations don't know about that because that's the times when we were forced to what? Still have to come together. We were still basically on the tail end of, even though desegregation got implemented, but some of the principles were still in place. So we were still, those that was born in the 70s, raised in the 70s and the 80s, you still got to experience some of that the things that manifested itself while it was segregated. Remember that, family? Oh, man. Remember that? You can be outside playing and somebody else heard you say something you weren't supposed to say and they could correct you. Oh, come on now. That's right. Kickball, double dutch. Man, we used to play tackle football. We used to do it all. But what I'm getting at, family, maybe this is, with everything that's going on, is for us to get back to that. For us to get back to that. Because we got away from those things. We got to a place that we start thinking that we arrived and had to be reminded that, guess what? Guess what? Slow down. Get back to the basics. Come on, family. Slow down and get back to the basics. Let me say that again. Slow down and get back to the basics. Remember that, family? Freeze tag. Remember when you had to create your own games? Man, there were times we had to create our own games. We used to draw our own board games. We'll take the dice that my Uncle Butch would use to go out and, you know what I mean? We'll take those dice and then we'll draw up our own board game. We literally would draw our own board game. Use coins as our pieces. And then we'll create our own board games. Remember that? When you had to improvise. Come on, family. Man. Organized confusion, family. Get back to the basics. Get back to the basics. And I believe that we have to not allow all the stuff that's going on to cause us to get further segmented. We need to come together, family. And I believe this is going to help us come together. This is going to help us come together. I think that if we change our approach to this and see what's really happening, to be what? Separated, right? To come out from this system of men. We have to come out of this system and what? Come together. Not just come out of that system and go into another system. Come out of that system. Separate ourselves. Because there's something special about us. And with that being said, family, I got to get ready to run. And I want to say this. There's something special about you, Judah. Let me say that again. There's something special about you, Judah. Can no one sing like us? Can no one dance like us? Can no one teach like us? Because the Most High gave his word not to no other nation. He spoke to no other nation, but to who? Israel. Yashara'al, the true people of the Most High. How do you know who's the true people of the Most High? Because you're not quick to destroy what's truly yours. Let me say that again. How do you know what's one of the barometers to test to see who's who? Similar to King Solomon did with the two women and the baby. One mother was willing to allow him to cut the baby in half, while the other mother said, no, you can have it, just so the baby could live. That's how you know these people are not the people of the book, because they tear up and destroy everything. They destroy everything. They destroy everything. Everything that they touch, they destroy it. That's how you know. That's one of the barometers to prove that they are not the people of the book, because that's all they do. If they can't have it, they're willing to what? Blow it up. If they can't have it, they created all kinds of mass weapons to make sure that if they can't have it, you can't have it either. Then to say, you know what? You have it, man. It's not that deep. You know what? You have it. Just so that way the land remains intact. Just so that way, you know what? I want the baby to live. Oh, come on now, y'all getting there. I see, seeing some of the radio stations here where I grew up at. It was 92 KTU, WBLS, 98.7 KISS, WHBI. Oh, some of you guys may not understand that one. WHBI, right? Anyway, but with that being said, family, really appreciate you guys. Love you. Be encouraged. Shalom.